Welcome back. North Koreans of all ages and backgrounds have united in grief following the announcement of the death of the country's leader, Kim Jong-il. Western countries and South Korea in particular will be watching the transition in the nuclear-armed Stalinist state. We have more in this CFI report.
Following the announcement that North Korea's leader Kim Jong-il had died, state television broadcast pictures showing a mass outpouring of grief, even in this electric wire factory where they were expecting his arrival.
It's unbelievable. I don't know how to describe my grief.
As people go about their business in the capital Pyongyang, distress and disbelief are clear to see. The leader died from a heart attack on Saturday, and in front of his image, a distraught crowd gathers. North Koreans of all ages and backgrounds are united in grief. Despite the outpouring of sadness, the death of Kim Jong-il had been expected, and plans for his succession had been underway for some time. His youngest son, Kim Jong-un, was unveiled as his father's heir, and state media have called him the great successor. As North Korea enters a period of instability, neighbouring countries are concerned about the country's nuclear weapons that were announced back in 2005. This is a particular concern for South Korea. The two countries are technically at war. In the South Korean capital of Seoul, the President Lee Myung-bak convened a National Security Council meeting hours after the announcement of Kim Jong-il's death. The army is on high alert, and the border shared with North Korea has been reinforced.
And there is no let-up in the post-electoral standoff between the opposition and the ruling party in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The main opposition candidate, Etienne Tshisekedi, is claiming he is the legitimate winner of the controversial presidential election. Tshisekedi has meanwhile urged the security forces to back him and has even gone as far as ordering the arrest of the incumbent president, Joseph Kabila. But the DR Congo Minister for the Interior is calling the statement a mere bluff. Let's look at this CFI report for more on the raging controversy.
Etienne Tshisekedi is calling his home in Kinshasa's Limete neighborhood the new presidential palace. On Sunday, he renewed his claim he is the elected president of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Tshisekedi called on the police and the armed forces to accept his authority. He also ordered the arrest of President Joseph Kabila. The man who brings Kabila to me in chains will receive a very handsome reward. Mr. Kabila's government is from this day dissolved. Supporters stood outside his home chanting Tshisekedi, president. They came to watch a swearing-in ceremony their leader plans to hold in Kinshasa's Martyrs Stadium on Friday. For those in Kabila's camp, the scene is grotesque. The Congolese Interior Minister is watching developments closely, although he believes Tshisekedi is bluffing. The statements he is making are totally out of sync with the period and the political personalities. This is not new. He did it against Mobutu, and he's confusing Kabila with Mobutu. And I tell you this, he does not have the means to realize what he said. Some 100 women from the opposition demonstrated outside the U.S. Embassy in Kinshasa, demanding something be done to reverse what they call Kabila's electoral fraud. They want Washington to get involved in making sure a recount is held free and fair.
The Supreme Council of the Armed Forces in Egypt has announced what it calls plans by protesters to set the parliament building ablaze. And elsewhere in the Republic of Guinea, the National Independent Electoral Commission has pushed back the date for the country's legislative elections. Observers say the move is aimed at appeasing the opposition. For more on this and others, we go with this roundup of news from the African continent.
Council of the Armed Forces ruling Egypt since Hosni Mubarak was removed from office in February has made a dangerous discovery. General Adel Emara said Monday in Cairo that the council had uncovered a plan to set fire to the parliament building. He said he had received a phone call revealing that the crowds gathered in Tahrir Square were preparing to burn the building down. The announcement came as the capital was very tense following clashes there. It was her first visit to Africa as director of the International Monetary Fund. Frenchwoman Christine Lagarde met on Monday with Nigerian authorities in Abuja. The IMF head had praised for economic reform plans begun by the government in Nigeria. Half of the country's 160 million inhabitants live on less than $2 a day. Christine Lagarde is expected on Tuesday in Lagos, the country's financial headquarters. It is official. Legislative elections will not take place in Guinea on December 29th. The National Independent Electoral Commission decided to push back the voting date after meeting on Sunday in Conakry. The commission announced on Sunday that it was suspending all its activity in the field for a period of 2 weeks. This was meant to calm down the opposition, which had set a number of preconditions in order to reopen talks with the government. The United Nations and African Union are on a joint mission to Mauritania. They are meeting with Prime Minister Moulay Ould Mohamed Lagdaf in Nouakchott. Meetings include the repercussions on the Sahel from the fall of the regime of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. The delegation is led by the UN Assistant Director for Political Affairs, Sambesi Ibuk. They are examining the problems linked to the huge illegal weapons trade.
Time now to take a second break. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and before we go, a reminder of our headlines. President Jammeh has launched a broad appeal for unity in the drive to attain set national development goals. Vice President Jais Saidi has been dilating on the link between ongoing efforts to position the Gambia as a renowned tourist destination and the staging of events like the Gambia Fashion Night. North Korean watchers are waiting nervously for the transfer of power to the man widely tipped to succeed their leader Kim Jong-il, who suffered a heart attack and died. And in Egypt, the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces has announced the discovery of a plan to set the parliament alight, allegedly hatched by protesters. You can also follow that story and other GRTS programs live on our website, and that's on www.grts.gm. There you can also monitor GRTS Radio live. That's all in the news. Thank you very much for your time, and it is good night from me.
GRTS Digital FM on 98.6 and 102.6, the best FM station in town, where you can capture hundreds and thousands of potential customers with a wider coverage around the country. Advertise today and get your targeted customers. For more information, call 9933263, 9957255, or 4497331 and 9906445. GRTS Digital FM.
Enjoy the luxuries of life.